I really hope that Food Matters changes the way that people eat, changes the way that people look at food. And what I'd like them to take away from this book is a new sense of how food is produced, what it does to them, what growing it does to the land and to the earth, and how all of these things affect all of us all the time. The way I came to all this was kind of interesting, which is that I had some medical problems, including a weight problem, and my favorite doctor recommended that I eat less meat and eat more vegetables and whole grains and so on. And I tried that, and I actually was losing weight and feeling better. And then on my desk appeared this report from the FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, with this incredible statistic. This 18% of greenhouse gases comes from factory farming statistic. And it sort of put everything in the right perspective for me. It painted a picture that was a very unified picture, a very interesting picture. What's bad for us is the same as what's bad for the planet. What's bad for individual peoples is the same as what's bad for the earth as a whole. And that is sort of this, what's become known as the typical American diet, a diet high in factory farmed meat, diet high in refined carbohydrates, and a diet high in junk food. And those are the things that they're really among the major enemies of our health and of the planet's health right now. And when I say meat production, there are a lot of things that go into meat production. There's the fertilizer that's used to grow the soy that's used to feed the cows. There are the trucks that are used to transport the cows to the slaughterhouses and the meat from the slaughterhouses to the supermarket. There are a lot of different things involved in meat production, including, off gases from cows, to put things politely. So there are a lot of different things that go into it, but the total is 18% of greenhouse gases come from factory farming. I would say the single most troubling aspect of the American diet right now is the fact that we eat a half a pound of meat per capita per day. And that is an unbelievable amount. If you think about it, to go from 8 ounces to 7 ounces is more than a 10% decrease. But if we each decreased the amount of meat we ate by 10%, we'd be decreasing the amount of animals that we use and consume overall by 10%, which would be significant. If we continue on that path and decrease 10% a year, in 10 or 15 years, we'll be eating way less meat. There's a way in which thinking about meat is not unlike thinking about oil. It's quite clear that we need to figure out ways in which to use less gasoline in our cars or have cars that are fueled by different products. In a very similar way, we need to cut our intake of meat, both for our own health and for the health of the planet, or rely on different products. Fortunately, it's much easier to replace meat in our diet than it is to replace gasoline in our cars. You just eat vegetables or whole grains or legumes or fish or whatever. So, in a way, I don't think that what I'm talking about here is all that challenging. It's a matter of people recognizing how important it is to start down this path. I'm not advocating, maybe I should be, but I'm not advocating that everybody become a vegan. Certainly if everybody became a vegan, the difference is the results would be dramatic and fast. But that's not going to happen. So what I'm advocating is that people look carefully at their current diets, and they eat less meat, and they eat less refined carbohydrates, and they eat less junk food. How much less is going to be an individual decision? I'm not here to tell people precisely what to do. So I go out to eat, and I eat like a pig, and I drink a lot of wine, and I have a good time. And I still lost a lot of weight, and my blood numbers are all better, and blah, blah, blah. So that's one way to approach it. I'm going out to eat time. I have a good time. I don't care about any of this stuff right now. That's the way it is. The other way is to go out to eat and order soup and a salad and a couple of side dishes of vegetables and be a good boy. But not everybody's going to be so-called good all the time. And I think a problem that people have with diets is that they're not flexible enough, is that they're too strict, that they're too maniacal, and people don't live their lives that way. So what I've tried to do in Food Matters is create this plan that, in fact, is very individual and very flexible and very personal and allows people to figure out what's going to work for themselves. I really, truly believe that if individuals eat 10 or 20% less meat than they're currently eating, that's enough to make a difference. And I actually also believe that when they see the results of cutting back in that 10 or 20%, both on their waistlines, on their diets, on their blood numbers, and when they read a little bit more on their carbon footprint, they'll want to eat even less meat and even more vegetables. So, I mean, the other side of this coin is that eating vegetables, as has been said forever, is good for you. So if you replace the meat, you can have a vegetarian diet and be completely unhealthy.
Right.
If you replace meat and refined carbohydrates and so on in your diet with whole grains and vegetables and legumes, you are going to be a healthier person.